So I had what I thought was going to be a brilliant idea, right? I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Since our good friends over at the 13th Juror live stream are doing Jody Arias, I'm also going to do Jody Arias. Doesn't that seem brilliant? I was so excited. And then I watched the summary of the case and my head exploded. And I was like, yeah, no. Me and Jody, number one, we would not be friends. I wish her well over there in prison. But that case is something else. It is 100 kinds of crazy. And I was like, oh, this is the lovely Ashley Banfield. Oh, she did a very nice job of like just smashing it all down into a 45-minute segment. And then I was like on the Google machine, like, how long was the Jody Arias trial? Turns out it was something like 45 days and 16 or 18 or 35 of those Jody was on the stand. My head was exploding. I was like, listen, I cannot wrap my head around this case. I have a general understanding of what happened, but I'm just like, she killed a dude because she was mad and she said it was self-defense. Great, got it. But like all the minutia, sometimes I like minutia. In that case, it's a lot of minutia. It's fascinating though. And if you have like time to sort of do a deep dive, it's totally worth diving into. But y'all know I ain't got time like that. I have things to do. My life is very, very busy. I make true crime videos. I source mugs from a little true crime channel. And remember when I made this t-shirt? Who was here when I made? Raise your hand if you were here when I decided that Mandy Matney was a superhero and needed her own logo. And so then I made the suit. Oh, I commissioned my son to make me the Mandy Matney superhero logo. So that's what this is. Anyway, I'm busy. I have dogs. My garden's not gonna grow. Like, I have things to do. So I was like, is there a place where I can touch down on this case? And you know what I heard on a couple nights ago, I don't know what night it was, that I dropped in over there and I was the 13th juror. And I was like, hey, 13th gossips, how y'all doing? And so they were talking about prepaid legal. And I was like, oh, I know prepaid legal. What does that have to do with this case? Turns out either Travis or Jody or somebody associated with this case was involved with prepaid legal. I don't know who. And let's be frank, I don't care who. I don't care. But I do know prepaid legal. And so I was like, oh, would you know what we could talk about this morning? We're going to talk about prepaid legal because I know some things about prepaid legal. And this is what I know. So back in the day, this was like the early aughts. I don't even know if Shalom and I were married then. Like, okay, my husband, Shalom, that's his real name. And no, he's not Jewish. He's just like a black man from the Bronx, but he has the name Shalom because creative parents. So anyway, I don't know if Shalom and I were married yet or if we were just dating, but it was a long time ago. And he was like, yo, babe, I think I want to do prepaid legal. And I was like, what? And he was like, prepaid legal. I think I'm going to do prepaid legal. And I was like, what the heck is prepaid legal? And he was like, oh, they're going to do a conference call tonight and you should dial in. And so you could listen because he wanted my support on him doing this weird thing that I had never heard of. So I was like, okay. So I jump on he's on one extension and I'm on the other extension. And I listened to now I was told this was going to be a 20-minute call. You know, this was not a 20-minute call, right? It never is. So I was just like, okay. And I'm listening to this and they're like, blah, 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 prepaid legal, prepaid legal. And they explained what the service was. And I was like, okay, I knew then, can't tell you now. But I said, and I had a bunch of questions for the guy who was trying to recruit my husband. Because my husband knows that he's real pretty. I'm the brains. We make a dynamic duo. I'm crazy about that man. But sometimes when it comes to making decisions about things like this, he's like, I want to get your opinion. I really need you to weigh in because he knows I will be very, very critical and I will ask all the hard questions where he's just like, oh, look, money, let's join. And I'm like, nah, You know, I'm not trying to break up with none of my money. I've been like that for a very long time. So I was like, let me ask your little friend here a bunch of questions. So I asked his little friend a bunch of questions and he could not answer not one of them. And I was like, thank you so much for your time and good night. Nah, baby, we're not doing that. And I was like, how did you hear about these crazy people? And he said, I was in the 8th Avenue post office. And I was like, okay, there's a giant post office on 8th Avenue in Manhattan. So, and it's like the big, big, big post office. So he was like, I was in the 8th Avenue post office and I ran into Sam. I don't remember the guy's name. He ran into some dude that he grew up with. Let's call him Sam. And so he's like, I ran into Sam and we were talking and I was like, uh-huh. And he was like, And so he said to Sam, like, what are you doing here? And Sam was like, oh, I have to mail something. And he reached in his pocket and pulled out like a knot of cash. Like the cash looked like this, right? I always got crafts around. Look, there's yarn. He's like, the dude had a giant knot of cash. And so he was like, yo, dude, what are you doing? And it's illegal. Like, I'm not trying to get caught up. He was like, nah, man, I'm doing this thing called prepaid legal. You should join and you can have money like this too. And so my husband was like, really? Like, what is I don't understand. Why would I do this? What is it? Blah, blah, blah. So he was like, nah. So he gives my husband the sales pitch. And whatever the sales pitch was, sounded good to my husband. So when he came home, he was like, you should look into this. I think it's going to be a really good thing. And I was like, so wait. How closely did you examine that roll of money? And was it all singles? Was it singles with like a 20 wrapped on the outside? I need details. Did you take a picture of it with your phone? I'm not even sure you could take pictures with your phone back then, but I'm saying I'm gonna need additional details. So he was like, so there's a conference call tonight. So let's get on the conference call and we will find out more. And that's when what happened at the beginning of this story is what I told you. The man couldn't answer none of my questions, but he was not through there. He was like, I'm going to have my supervisor call you back. And I was like, if you're working for yourself, making zillions of dollars of prepaid legal, but you can't even answer the questions of like a lowly secretary, because I was a lowly secretary. Not that secretary is a lowly child. Secretaries rule the world. Mine is fantastic. But I was like, if you can't answer the questions of a secretary, how you gonna answer the questions of like big fancy people, whatever? And he was like, no, this is for the everyman. And I'm like, I'm every man. I'm every woman. You can't answer my questions. He was like, I'm gonna have my supervisor call you. And I was like, I thought you worked for yourself. And he was like, yeah, but I have a team leader. And I was like, okay, have your team leader call me. So the team leader called me and he was doing a hard sell. And you know what he said to me? You would be a great prepaid legal salesperson or representative or whatever they called it. And I was like, So let me get this straight. Number one, this sounds like MLM, which in my opinion sounds like a cult. So you want me to give you some of my money, which number one, that's going to be out immediately because I don't think y'all know what y'all talk about. And number two, then I have to go harass my friends and family to give so they can give me their money. No, thank you, sir. And he was like, he was selling. Now that dude could answer my questions, but I did not like him. So I said to him, sir, I'm so glad that you answer my questions, but I do not like you because you know what? In real life, I don't talk behind people's backs. I keep it diplomatic. I do my very, very best to be very diplomatic. But if I think something, I will tell you to your face. Oh, I will tell you in the nicest possible way because that's how I do. Will I judge you silently in my head? Yes, I absolutely will, but not to other people. But people who know me know. Don't ask that half for nothing if you don't want to know the real answer because she gonna tell you. Because people are like, oh, does this hairstyle, is this ugly on me? And I'm just like, you've made better choices. See how that works? So diplomatic. So I said to this man, I think you're out here targeting people who you think might need to make money with these big giant wads of cash, which frankly, I don't know what was in that wad. That might have just been all toilet paper or newspaper with a 50 wrapped around it. My husband did not photograph it. I wish he had, but since he did not, you give me no other choice, sir. The answer is no. And so he was just like, you are dynamic. And I said, I know. You're not going to win me over with flattery because understand, I know how great I am. It's not like it's a mystery. People who like don't think a lot of themselves. Sadly, too many women are like, oh, I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, well, what if I'm not good enough? I probably think too much of myself, honestly. Like, certainly there are moments, especially related to parenting, where I'm like, oh, Lord, did I make the right decision? Sometimes at work too. I'm like, boss, I might have done that wrong. And let me tell you why. And so if you could help me, then next time I won't do that wrong. And so one of my kids' kindergarten teacher, he said to me, this is years ago because that child's now 25. His kindergarten teacher said to me, we thought he might be like on the spectrum or something else was going on with him just because he would just like blurt things out and speak so openly. And I was like, He said, and then we met you and we understood. And I was like, have I been insulted? I'm not entirely certain what is happening right now, but I think you were trying to insult me. He was like, I wasn't trying to insult you, ma'am. I'm just saying, 5-year-olds usually are not that like verbal and straightforward and whatever in the way that your child is. And then we saw where he gets it from. And I was like, so no matter what your intention was, I'm just going to take that as a compliment, because my straightforwardness comes from a history of being like, ooh, I'm afraid to speak. I'm afraid to take up space in the world. And now, oh no, I have no problem. I have problems, but not problem taking up space in the world, because, ooh, child, I'm going to tell you what I think. And that prepaid legal, honey, that was some trash. That was some straight trash. So I said to my husband, okay, your friend, now we had just bought a house, right? We bought our first house before we was married. So I was like, we just bought a house. And he was like, yeah, this will help you pay off your house in, 5 easy payments, whatever it was going to be. And I was like, sir, clearly you know nothing about homeownership, but I'm going to give you a pass on that, because it's New York where nobody buys houses. New York City, child, folks don't buy houses. Everybody rents for the rest of their life. So I was like, your mom and them probably rented. Your grandmom and them probably rented. So you don't know about buying houses. And so I had owned both in New York and New Jersey. So I know a little something about buying houses in both states and in other states as well. So I was like, I'm going to give you a pass. But what we're going to do is we're going to wait a year. And if you're a homeowner in a year, not that like being a homeowner is all that, but if you're making like big giant gobs of money, I want to see how you're investing it. I want to see what's happening in your life. And the man was like, okay, I guarantee you I will probably own a home in 6 months. I said, okay. So 4 months later, I reached back out to my husband and I said, whatever happened to your friend with the big wad of cash? And he was like, oh yeah, he don't do that no more. Oh. It was so grand and so great that you wanted to get me into it. But 4 months later, your friend is out the business. How long had he been in the business when you had this conversation? He was like, oh, he had just started. And I was like, oh, he was coming with the enthusiasm of a new convert trying to pickpocket me. Oh, no, you're not going to pickpocket me. So all of that to say, I do not believe in prepaid legal, which means that me and Travis and Jody, well, we have nothing in common. I mean, I don't have much in common with Travis because he's dead, and I don't have much in common with Jody because she's crazy. I might be crazy, not her particular brand of crazy. So there's that. Anyway, I need to get on with the rest of my day. I have things to do. This house is a mess. I need to shampoo these carpets. Child, it's going to be a busy day. I hope you have a busy and great day too. Bye.